What's shaking, my friends? Welcome back to the channel. It is time to do my 2025 best books of the year. This is my fantasy sci-fi edition. All my romance books will be coming in a separate video. So I read 214 books in 2025 and I had probably the best reading year, not only numbers wise, but 5-star wise that I have ever had. And I thoroughly enjoyed my reading time last year. Half of it I spent reading fantasy sci-fi and half of it I spent reading romance. I just had a phenomenal time. And I'm here to talk about the 15 fantasy books that I read that I absolutely positively just adored. I'm not ranking these because it's been so long since I've read most of these books that I couldn't even begin to figure out how I really feel about them because I love them all. So we are going to talk about these in the order that I read them. I am not going to go into synopses of this book. I'm just here to kind of tell you guys to read these books because they're wonderful. The first book on the list that I read in 2025 that I gave 5 stars is Titan Hoppers by Rob J. Hayes. I absolutely adored this book. I've read 2 books in the series now, adored both of them. And I will be reading the 3rd book hopefully soon. This is a sci-fi series with a lot of, it's like a progression sci-fi series, I guess you could call it that. And normally, sometimes I don't get along with those. But this had such great character development that I adored it. Love these characters, love this world, even loved the kind of progression of this. Really, absolutely, positively, Rob J. Hayes hit it out of the park with this one. I have read Rob J. Hayes' other work. I have read Never Die, and I didn't really get along with it. And I have read his other series. I can't remember what it's called at this moment in time, but I got along with that one. Read this one. Love it. Moving on. Read it. Alright, second book is a sequel to one of my favorite books of the year in 2024. I read Cage of Dreams by Rebecca Schaeffer. This is a kind of horror, I guess you could call it YA. It could be adult. I don't know. YA adult horror. And this was the sequel. It was the duology. This is the second book in the series, and I adored this one just as much as I adored book 1. I love this series. I don't have a copy of it because I'm waiting to find somebody who will sell me the Fairy Loot edition of this, as I have the Fairy Loot edition of the first book in the series. The third book to talk about, and I debated whether to put this on. This is a romantasy, so that's why it's coming on the fantasy list, because I feel like it does have a lot of fantasy elements, and that is going to be Glow of the Everflame by Penn Cole. I got in a chokehold in this series at the end of December 2024. I finished this one in January 2025. Absolutely positively adored it. Adored this series. I know some people hate the main character. I didn't mind her. The other elements of the story overtook my annoyance of her, and they had my heart because I truly adored this book. And I'm patiently waiting for Burn of the Everflame to come out. The Land of the Living and the Dead by Shauna Lawless. So I've had my ups and downs with this series. I feel like a lot of people hype it up, even though it doesn't have very many ratings. So I kind of, book 1 was fine. I think I gave it 4 stars. Book 2 was kind of a letdown. This one, absolutely phenomenal. 5-star read, 100%. I'm like, let me read the little series that comes after this because I adored this. One thing about Shauna Lawless is that she does characters absolutely phenomenally. You will feel like you know these characters. Things are happening. There's evil characters, there's good characters, and you're in their heads. And I adored this book. Read this book. Yumi and the Nightmare Painter, which I believe I read in February 2025. And again, Brandon Sanderson just absolutely adored me with this kind of, this you could say is a romantasy. It's got like love. It's got a little bit of love in there, but it is primarily a fantasy. But I just thought this was so beautiful. This is probably my favorite Brandon Sanderson secret project. I did enjoy the others, but this is probably my favorite, and I would say to read this. So, those that know me or have been following my channel, you'll know that I am not a fan of novellas. I generally tend to read novellas when I'm in a challenge or when I'm doing something that I need some short reads. I don't get along very well with novellas. I picked this one up. I think I was in a challenge. I also read this in February. And I absolutely 100%, 160 something pages of just, oh my gosh, so good. Had a twist in here that I didn't see coming. The characters were wonderful. Loved it. That is going to be The Fireborn Blade by Charlotte Bond. I did read the second book in the series. It's the series. And I gave that one 4 stars. I liked it. But this first one, oh my gosh, had my heart. It is super short, and I would recommend everybody read this book. It kept me at the edge of my seat. I felt the characters were well developed in here. I felt the plot was well developed. And for 167 pages, this knocked me off of my feet. Another novella that I read for the same kind of challenge thing that I was doing, A Psalm for the Wild, built by Becky Chambers. I adored this one as well. This was just such a cute story, but it had such a powerful message. And I did wind up reading the second one in the little duology of novellas this year, and I didn't like it as much as the first one, but I really highly enjoyed the first one and would recommend. The first book in this series was one of my favorite books in 2024, and so I'm gonna put the second book on here. I didn't like the second book as much as I liked the first book, but this I did continue on in the series in 2025, and that's going to be An Echo of Things to Come by James Islington. These are beefy boys, beefy books, and I can tell you that I just love these characters, and I think that's what draws me to this book. I love the world, I love the characters. There is so much emotion that James Islington has gotten from me reading these books, and I would highly recommend this series. I know everybody's reading The Will of the Many, but don't forget, he has another series that is like phenomenal, so I would read this. The next book on the list is a book that is very divisive. Like, people either love it or people hate it. A lot of people hated it, and I don't know what it is, but a lot of my favorite books, if you look at their average rating on Goodreads, it's very low. I don't know, am I weird or something? I could not tell you. But the next book that I rated 5 stars that everybody hated, but I didn't, was The Gods Below by Andrea Stewart. I just fell in love with the story. I fell in love with the way that she told the story. I fell in love with the characters. I fell in love with the plot. I feel like it was good. Just overall, it was good. And I hated that people didn't get along with this book. I need to read the second book in the series, but I just haven't picked it up yet. But I adored this, and I probably will reread it before I read the second book in the series, but I really liked this. I thought this was a good fantasy, and I didn't really get along with her first series, which I did also read the first book of, but this one, to me, was more up my alley. Great characters, great plot, mixture of both. Loved it. Another self-pub book that I am repping here is going to be Murder on the Lamplight Express. This is the second book that starts out with Murder at Spindle Manor, which won the self-published fantasy blog contest, whatever year that was. And I read that one and I loved it. And then I went on to the second one and loved it. Okay, so it's got mystery, it's got paranormal creatures, it's got humor, it's got all of the things. And I laughed out loud in this book. The characters are hilarious. There's, of course, a mystery that you're trying to figure out what's going on. I just feel like these books have everything you would want in them. There is a third one, and I haven't read it. I do own it. It's up here somewhere. But I just highly recommend this. The next book, and I have the old cover. I love Bridget Kemmerer, and I will read anything that this woman writes because I feel like she just has a way with words to draw you into a story. And this is Forging Silver into Stars. I need to continue on with the series. I have not read past this one. The second book is out, and the third book I think comes out this month in January 2026. So this is a YA story, and I've mostly stopped reading YA. And the reason for that is because I just normally don't jive with those stories anymore. But I picked this one up, and I think I pulled it out of my jars one month. I picked this one up and devoured it. I liked the plot. I liked the characters. Good on both, and just she kept us guessing what was going to happen next. And I just really enjoyed this series. So I would definitely read it. This is the kind of companion series to what's that series she has? A Curse So Dark and Lonely is a trilogy, which I also adored that trilogy, all 3 books, even though the first one was my favorite. And this is kind of a companion series to that, set in the same world, following one of the same characters. So highly recommend. Okay, another divisive book that some people either loved or they hated, and that's going to be Our Infinite Fates. This is another way kind of romanticy, I guess you would say, and I took a chance on this because I had never heard of it before it came out, not really, or didn't know much about it. Got it from Book of the Month, as you can see, and I think I wound up also choosing this as part of my jars one month, and I absolutely adore this. I listened to this actually on audio book, and this was, to me, such a beautiful romance story, and some parts really agitated me, but I think that it was meant to agitate you, and I adored it. So I would recommend this, even though it is divisive. Some people love it, some people hate it. I, of course, did read Sword of Kaigen by Emma Wong this year, and I adore it. I really did like it. I don't think I liked it as much as everybody else, and just because it was super hyped, and so I do think it was a little bit overhyped, but I did end up really enjoying it, and sometimes there are authors that just go there, and I like it when you just go there and pull all the emotions out. Now, I did read Blood Over Brighthaven, and I read it actually the month after I read Sword of Kaigen, and it's not on my favorite books of the year. And I think if I had had some years between these two books, Blood Over Brighthaven may have been in my best books of the year. I may have enjoyed it more. I think that Emma Wong has a very similar plot structure that she has done in Sword of Kaigen and Blood Over Brighthaven, and because I read them so close together and they were similar plot structures, I didn't enjoy Blood Over Brighthaven as much. Subsequently, if I would have read Blood Over Brighthaven before Sword of Kaigen, I think I would have enjoyed Blood Over Brighthaven more. But because that same plot structure was kind of used, I didn't enjoy that one as much. But I did enjoy the Sword of Kaigen, and it was one of my favorite reads of 2025. There is a trilogy of books that I read towards the end of 2025 that I ate up, enjoyed immensely, and that was The Collapsing Empire by Mr. John Scalzi. I love John Scalzi. You know, you may have seen him where he was on one of my worst books of the year list, and that's okay because he is joining my best books of the year list with this whole trilogy. I binged this trilogy back to back to back, and I normally don't do that. I normally never binge a series, but guys, this was phenomenal because they're shorter. It's a sci-fi, and the plot just moves so fast, but you also get good characters, and there's humor in here that hit with me, and I just this was it. This was such a good action-packed series that kept you on your feet, kept you guessing, lots of plot twists. I adored this trilogy, and I would highly recommend it for those that like sci-fi. And then the last book on this list is going to shock, well, it may not shock y'all, it shocked me. Sometimes really hyped books I don't get along with. And this was one that I feel is appropriately hyped because this is going to be Divine Rivals by Rebecca Ross. Now, I have read another series by Rebecca Ross, and I did not get along with it. But I adored this. I adored this, and I've heard terrible things about the second book, but I'm still going to read the second book at some point. But I felt like this was a good plot, and I'm adoring the romance. And this book had my heart, and I can't believe that I liked a hype book, but here we are. I liked a hype book, and so this is the last best book of 2025 in my fantasy sci-fi genre. What were your best books of 2025? Let me know in the comments below. Have you read any of these? Did you hate them? Let me know in the comments below. And look out for my romance edition coming soon. And I'll catch you guys in the next one.